So starting off, kind of a brief introduction of kind of what you're doing at Altair, what the role, and then understanding how you and your clients manage this process of managing surveys. What's their current way of doing it? Imagine like RenKap didn't exist. What is the process they do? Who do they appoint? Do they use consultants or others or whatever it might be? And then kind of discussing some of your experience from your knowledge of RenKap and working on kind of that Burnt Mills project together. I know that was a little while back. And yeah, any feedback you have, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess in terms of the role, so I've got a split role, but the part that's relevant is the development management kind of role. So like what I was doing at Basildon, working there a couple of days a week, and just feeling like a development manager's function effectively. So with that, what Basildon do, as an example, is they will generally procure all their surveys individually on an individual basis, and they will go out, get their 3 quotes in from people they've probably used before or from a quick Google search, and then appoint whoever comes out cheapest generally. Sometimes timescales taken into account with it. It's generally no check on kind of quality, because what can you do unless you've used them before? So it is generally just a price or timescale kind of check. They have also something I tried to get them away from for a period of time. They also got like their architects to go and get the quotes for them, do the appointments on behalf of them as well, and pay whatever it was, like a 15% surcharge for the privilege, which considering they were it wasn't worth 15% effectively for them to do it. You might as well go and do it yourself. The beauty of where RenKap came in, it was that it goes and does it in a click, and you've got kind of a tested bunch of consultants there. So that's the process currently.
Yeah, brilliant. And it's interesting. Well, I'll show you something in a little bit later, but we've actually released a new feature which now shows you kind of all the ratings of each supplier. So you can see kind of 5-star. You can look at them as like 5 stars. This one's 4.5. That one's 4, whatever it might be, and you can look at the, kind of what their performance has been like on past projects, which is super valuable.
And how does that work? Do you, at the end of every project, as the client, go in and you're given a nudge to say, what do you rank this one out of 5 for X, Y, and Z?
Exactly. So that the client will be given that option. They'll do it, but that's only one criteria of how it works in the algorithm for that to work. There's lots of other things, like things that we automate. Mm-hmm. Did they deliver on time? What were the response time frames like? All those kind of things.
Right.
And then what was the feedback from the client? So lots of things, and you weight them, and it provides a nice rating.
Okay, that's really cool, really helpful actually.
And the suppliers see those ratings
and want to push it up.
And they want to push it up, so they know, I better deliver really well on these projects. Otherwise, if I don't give that project at that time, then it'll affect the rating, whatever. That kind of stuff.
For sure. That makes a lot of sense actually. That's good.
Yeah. In terms of kind of the process, obviously, I know we're talking about Basildon, but is that kind of the experience for kind of customers you work for in general? Is that they manage it themselves? They either manage it themselves if they have a team that can do it, or they use some sort of consultant, which might be a project manager or might be an architect.
Yeah.
Or it might be yourselves.
Yeah. Generally, it's going to be one of the two, which is they're going to do it themselves. Generally, it's pushed out to like a junior member of staff. That's normally kind of their introduction to development. If you've got kind of like a junior DM in the team, that's kind of their first thing to do. Or alternatively, go and get your lead consultant to go and do it, i.e. your architect, sometimes your EA. That's generally, I've not seen done it differently.
No, brilliant. And how's Basildon? So Basildon, you said sometimes they do it themselves and sometimes they get architects to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The architects thing, I think, is just one through laziness of some of the managers that are there. And it's also a historic thing, so I think it's happened now for a number of years. So only a couple of people haven't done that over that period of time. So I think it's almost part of the process now.
Yeah, it's funny because we speak with lots of architects and they're like, yeah, we always have to do it and we hate it. They hate managing it, the surveys themselves. It feels like it's kind of that hot potato topic where a development manager is like, no, not us, project manager, no, architect, no, client.
But that's exactly it. If I was for whoever does take it on, that's what the beauty of this platform is. It just no one needs to worry about it then. Apart from maybe an email here and there to say, yeah, like a site specific question. So yeah, if it was like, I imagine it's something you're already doing, but especially architects or EAs, those kind of practices, they're definitely the ones I'd be looking at.
Well, this is kind of the purpose of this process that we're doing, is speaking with people to kind of share that, because we've delivered loads of great projects for lots of different customers and they keep coming back for more, but we haven't kind of captured that findings to say, like, to share the message with others, and nobody knows of us yet. And also when you come up with a new solution, people check the website and they want to see who you've worked with before. What are they saying? Did they like
they want
it?
some big names, don't they?
Yeah, it doesn't even need to be big names. It just needs to be demonstration that you've done it with XYZ, and kind of that's something that we're working to collate now. So appreciate your time to do this. Questions regarding the Burnt Mills project. Obviously, that was a little time ago. Yeah, first one is, why did you at the time decide to try the RenKap platform out? What made you pull the trigger?
I think the honest truth was, we'd been speaking, and second to that was that project needed to move quite quickly, and it was kind of a nice, easy way of me getting it from kind of project inception through to Reba stage 1 within probably, how long did it take? 6 weeks. Because a decision needed to be made on it in that kind of quick speed, and it would have, if I was doing it myself, it would have taken me, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks probably in isolation, just to go out, find all the relevant consultants, manage it, and respond and actually get something that then is understandable at the end of it. Because that was actually quite a useful thing, is the kind of sense check you do before it comes over. Because that's half the battle sometimes.
Which sense check? Sorry, which part?
So before you sent them over to me, you did
The
like
reports.
a review of the reports prior to them coming over, which just saves a job effectively.
Yeah. We've also, I don't know if I can't remember when you used it. I can't remember if we had this feature, but we've now got also automated prices.
Yeah, we didn't at the time, but and you mentioned that's come on since.
Yeah. So now when that process of you getting the quotes, going out and getting that, and now comparing it to us, you upload a site which takes 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And boom, you've got 3 prices for every single survey.
Yeah.
Which obviously that in itself is kind of like the pain for getting all those quotes. Would you be able to just explain, just so that I've kind of got it for this process, but explain that specific bit? How does that work in terms of if the process for a client to have to go and get all the quotes and do that process manually compared to kind of uploading it on our system?
The difference between the two, the difference is effectively time, isn't it? Because as it stands traditionally, the length of time it takes to a more established client might have a list of suppliers they go to, so that does save time. But take it as an example, they don't have an established list of suppliers, so first thing, finding the suppliers. Second of all, then having to draft a an email effectively, setting out all the key details. It all takes time. Send it out to the various parties, then having to deal with their questions on return prior to actually getting a quote back. The quotes are generally different. They don't always scope for the same thing, so it's about aligning those scopes, which is something that you obviously do. The award itself is pretty straightforward, but raising a PO takes time. Which again, if you're raising multiple POs, that takes a lot longer than raising one to yourself. And then actually, once the report's commissioned, it's generally a pretty similar process. Although, I guess the good thing with your platform is everything you had quite quick time frames, and because I guess they're pushed for, they know if they're coming to you, they've got to compete with other organizations. They probably try and be quite lean on their time frames, whereas sometimes what you'll get is someone coming back at, I don't know, £1,000 cheaper than another quote, but they take an extra week, and you're trying to balance that out to say, is that week worth £1,000 effectively? And that decision's kind of taken out of your hands, which is helpful. And then, like I said, once you get the report back, then it takes time sense checking it first of all, and spotting the stupid errors which you take away by doing that. And then that's pretty much it.
Did you benefit from the risk register at the end? That kind of, were you able to use that where it was kind of the greens and ambers? Is that something that
I've completely forgotten about that? Yeah, at the time, I'm not sure how developed the register was, because it's all good having greens and ambers and reds, but you need some kind of level of explanation as to why it's an amber or why it's a red. Maybe it was there at the time. I can't quite remember, but that's basically where it needs to be, is to have pulling out, basically is what you want to pull out the exec summary of each one to say, why is it an amber or why is it a red? What are the key constraints of the site?
Yeah, exactly. We've I think at the time initially when we launched it said kind of what it is and why, but you couldn't then kind of just easily instruct that and proceed with it. What we've done over the last so many months was, now it tells you need a BAT survey. This is why you need the BAT survey. This is how much it's going to cost. Right, so like £2,000. This is how long it's going to take. Click this button to instruct, and you can just go click. It adds to the checkout, and then you just check out again like you did the first time. And then again, we arrange site visits and we take care of the process, and then it comes back to the risk register, and hopefully it's green, and that whole line will now move to green.
So that's perfect.
That's a little transition, little journey we've been on.
That's really, really helpful actually. I don't know if there's a way of, is there an easy way of exporting that? I don't know how that works at the moment. Does it export easily into some little report or something like that?
The risk register?
Yeah.
So we've got two options. We were thinking of potentially exporting it, which we haven't done this yet. Either that, or the alternative, which I think is my preferred option, is you can add an email of the design team, people that you want to be able to access it, and then you'll be able to access just that one risk register. So you can't see everything else, right? Because that's your own data. We don't want them to see your other projects and the pricing. We just want them to see what the outcome is. So you can invite an architect, an engineer, a contractor, whatever you need, and they can just see that risk register and download the documents, and it's just in one place.
I think that's really helpful anyway, in terms of being able to, just thinking from a kind of project management perspective, if you've instructed something, what your architect is always asking you is, when's that going to be ready, so I can factor that in. So even if on day one that you instruct yourselves with all the surveys, you can then at that point say, share progress with X email, Y email. I think that'd be really helpful, because you could then share it with the design team. They don't have to keep going back and asking me when it's going to be ready. They can just click on a link and it would say, okay, the BAT survey's due in 2 days.
Nice. Yeah, good point. Yeah, if we're building the similar thing in, we can build it for that part as well. so everyone's aware of when it's happening. Yeah. This is why it's always great having calls with you, mate. Building my business for me, pretty much. Jesus.
Not at all.
You're like, this is broken. That. What about that? Fix this.
The thing is, it does what you need. It's great. It's just that there's always little things, isn't there, that you think, oh, that'd be handy.
Yeah, definitely. We're kind of at the point where we've built a lot, and now it's just fine tuning those little bits.
Yeah, sure.
So it's starting to it's starting to make sure that we can just automate and deliver really well on every single project. So question here was, if you could just, it's difficult for you because this is such a long time ago, but could you describe what it was like working with RenKap?
With yourselves?
Yeah.
Horrible.
Using describe what it was like using the platform, getting the output from what you thought you were going to get to what you got at the end, all that sort of process.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So it was good at the end of the day. I think at the time, I'm not sure how slick it all was at the time. In the actual instruction part of it was slick. Can't remember. It's tough to remember, but I think there was. So it was like something to do with the report at the end that you got. I'm not sure how slick that process was, whether it was like you had to send me an email, or maybe I had to chase you for an email or chase you on a report or something like that. Maybe it's this process of not knowing when it was coming in. I don't know if that was all kind of put together at that stage. I'm trying to remember
I think the notifications was something we didn't have at that time, where like something happened, you wouldn't instantly get notified. So we would have to be like, hey, by the way, you've got this, check it out, or
that's it.
Yeah, and managing that process.
Because that's the thing. All you want is to be able to know when they're coming, when they're due to come. If they're delayed, what's the reason for that? And then once they do arrive, that you can just go straight in and access it, whether that's because of a notification via email or some other way. Probably that's the only way. I think that's all you need. And actually, remembering back, I think that was the only thing that was not painful. It was just slightly inconvenient. But I imagine since that time, you've kind of developed that out.
I'll give you a quick tour once we finish these questions and kind of show you the revised version.
Yeah, it'd be good to see
and get your thoughts on it. But it's good. The purpose of this really is to get your thoughts on that, how it worked for you on that project.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be answering on like hypothetically on what we've got now.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Cool. And then two last ones. So the penultimate is, firstly, how likely would you recommend the RenKap platform to others?
Well, I have. I tried getting Basildon to sign up. Their problem is they just haven't got any new sites coming through at the moment, so they just don't have the need, which is the issue. And the team, when you came in and demonstrated, I think there was a lot of people that thought, oh yeah, that could be good. But it's then a case of remembering that, and it goes out of people's minds quite quickly, doesn't it? So yeah, would I recommend it? Absolutely.
Brilliant, thank you. And yeah, you're completely right. There's so much to do, and then all of a sudden you see this new tool, and you're like, wow, we could use that sometime. Oh my god, I'm so busy with everything else again.
That's it.
That's one thing, and the other thing which you mentioned, which is another really good point, is customers can only use us when they've got those projects, right? So, for example, if Basildon don't have a project now, then obviously they don't need the service. And that's why we kind of charge on a site basis. You use on what you use. But yeah, and what you mentioned earlier, which was architects and consultants. The great thing about architects and consultants is they've all got multiple clients.
Yep.
And each client there has multiple projects.
Yep.
So it's, instead of going for an individual client, you actually go for consultant or architect, and they've got many that are going through the process at the same time.
And especially
Cool.
those that are doing the actual appointing themselves, so like an architect or an EA, if they're if they're being instructed by their client to do the appointments, then they are like the perfect target market, aren't they?
Yeah. It's funny, we've got some end clients that use us, housing associations, and then we've got consultants that use us. But because sometimes when we work for a very big company, not everyone in that company knows about RenKap, that like spreading it in there is quite a challenge for them. We've got kind of consultants that use us on the projects of that same client.
Madness, isn't it?
And then they get the invoice and they're like, what's going on here?
How's this doubled up?
Yeah, why are we paying for that? But yeah. And you mentioned something earlier which was interesting. You said that the award wasn't a challenging part of the process in terms of instructing surveyors.
If you're not using RenKap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. That, because we're from the feedback we're getting, sometimes that is a challenge in terms of one, procurement. Obviously for public sector is a bit of a nightmare. But then as well, if you've got 10 surveys on a site, that's usually 10 different terms and conditions.
Yeah, well, the terms and conditions point for these kind of surveys, because they're so low level, generally they're just signed off. Like, people don't look to review them. Not in my experience anyway. But the issue is it's the PO raising. If you've got to go in and raise a PO, issue that PO, receive the invoice, pay the invoice, it's all those things that take the time. Whereas the actual instruction itself, generally, I think is pretty straightforward. But yeah, it might be different in other places.
No, that's really interesting insight. Is it, on the PO point, is it possible for us to kind of automate a PO for a public sector client, or does that always have to come from them, do you think?
It has to come from the accounting, because they have to go in and raise the actual purchase order that then relates to that invoice that's then paid through the system. But the beauty is that it's only raising one for you, which if you're doing it once, that's okay. If you're doing it across 12 surveys, then that's where the time is.
It's a little bit of a tangent, but that's interesting, because we're literally just building a PO function as we speak. And basically, when someone instructs us, it immediately notifies them to upload their PO onto the platform. So we say, we need you to upload your PO. As soon as you upload PO, it instantly moves to live and notifies surveyors.
Perfect.
Right. But but at the moment, because we need to protect ourselves, so at the moment it's kind of like someone instructs us, and then we have to email them and speak with them and say, okay, great, please send us a purchase order so that we can progress it. But no, it should be automatic. It should just say, okay, then when you sign up to the system, when you go on your dashboard, it'll say, oh, upload PO here to get this unlocked.
Yeah, and so you almost can't click anywhere else until you've done that. Yeah,
we can't move that project until you've given it to us.
The only thing is, I don't know how you're making this, but some won't have a purchase order system. So
that's why we've got two options. One is for the big companies that have their really annoying finance problems, like local authorities and housing associations. They'll be like, we've got our teams, we don't change. Okay, upload your PO. Anyone else, which is like smaller companies and things, we'll just say, click this button and we'll generate a PO for you. But basically what we want is a document that says that you will buy this for this much. So that we're protected. Otherwise, you click a button and we instruct all of our surveyors, and if someone doesn't pay,
don't pay. Yeah.
Cool. Final question. What would you say to someone who's considering working with RenKap?
What would I say? Go for it. I guess is in short. It's just selling the benefits, really. I think the key thing is it's time saving. That's what I found anyway. But also, I think a cost saving as well. That's something that I think anything you can do to show is a real, because what people see when or at least what Basildon saw when I presented it is, you're surcharged effectively for the service. But what I actually found once we went through it was that the actual costs of the surveys coming back were cheaper than other ones that we had procured elsewhere. So anything you can do to show that, I think, is a key benefit, because it all comes down to money at the end of it, doesn't it? So that's the strap line.
Perfect. It's even interesting you say that, because it's even cheaper now, and the reason for that is because we released the automated pricing feature.
Yeah.
Our surveyors, imagine, they've signed up, they've created their profile, they put their details in, they filled out their pricing information, and then they sit back and they don't hear anything, and then they get a notification to say, oh, you've just been instructed by Altair to do a topo survey or ecology survey, please accept. And they go, accept. Where previously it would have been, you're one of 3, please provide a quote, 66% chance you're going to lose this, and they have to price for that cost.
Yeah.
Where with us, they don't price for tendering anymore, they just win projects. And the beauty of that is now their prices that come back are around 15% cheaper. We charge 15%. So when we charge our 15%, really the prices are lower, and it's kind of market rate anyway, which is really beneficial to them.
I think it's about, I don't know if there's a way of selling that quite explicitly in any kind of marketing piece, or any kind of introductory conversation you have, because that's the winner. It all comes down to price at the end of it. It's time savings, one thing. People don't think of time as money a lot of the time, do they? So if you can just say, actually, it's the same price as what you'd get elsewhere, but you haven't got to do the work, it's a no-brainer then, isn't it?
Yeah, true. And fine. In order to do that, we would need someone that says, yeah, from our benchmarks, these prices are typically cheaper than what we were expecting. Is that something that could be done through Altair? Is that on this on the project we did?
Yeah. Difficult, isn't it? Trying to think. The only way of really doing it is actually having other comparable sites, because otherwise nobody's going to quote, are they? So you can look historically at other sites that, say, Basil have worked on, and they can dig out surveys they've had on other schemes, and then you can compare the two. The only problem is, from my perspective, it's not my data, it's Basil's data.
Yeah. We have just won some big local authority projects we're about to do. We're waiting for a grant to come in. We've all applied for it with 8 local authorities.
Oh, is it the tech, prop tech pot?
Yeah.
I thought you'd be going for that. Yeah.
Nice. You saw that come in?
Yeah, I saw that come in. Yeah.
Are you guys doing anything related to it?
We've Basil are making a bid actually for Land Clan, and part fund. Did you know Land Clan? Land Clan. No. It's a bit like Land Insight.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a bit like Land Insight, effectively. And yeah, that's what Basil are using or applying for that. And they asked me for some fees in terms of supporting them with that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Nice. Yeah.
I can see that. What are they like? Where are the local authorities?
Birmingham.
Local? Okay.
Birmingham City Council, London Borough Brent, London Borough Lambeth, London Borough Lewisham.
But why would they? Can't they access it through the GLA?
They can, but but they never knew about us. The GLA isn't really shouting too much. That like, we haven't really started doing the proper marketing with them, and RenKap us haven't gone out to all the local authorities to tell them. So really, it's because we're focusing elsewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could tell them that, but going in with.
But don't tell them that.
Going in with, the government will pay for you to use us, plus they'll give you money for surveys.
Yeah.
They're like, whoa, okay. So that's 3 London boroughs plus a joint application with all of combined Peterborough, Cambridge and Peterborough Combined Authority.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those together. And part of that a key part of that is to demonstrate to government how it used to cost X and now it costs Y by doing RenKap and timeframes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Cool. Let me show you the quick platform. One sec.
Yeah, it'd be good to have a quick flick through, see what's changed.
Right. You can see this, yeah?
Yes.
So you've got all your projects as normal. You can keep track on everything and see where they are. And then you upload the site as normal. Once you've uploaded the site, as soon as you upload that site like you did before and you click submit after you provide all the information,
yep,
it then instantly shows you this.
Yep.
So previously with you, it was manual. The information was sent out to surveyors. They'd provide the quotes. Now this is instant, all based on best practice scope of services per survey. So it's all like for like. So imagine how long it takes to create a like for like tender report, getting when you go up to surveys.
Exactly.
Getting 3 prices. Now literally you upload it 10 minutes later, boom, you got it here. And then the great thing is, if you want to select a surveyor, so let's say ecology surveyor or something, it goes to this page here, and then you can just select on any of these surveys. Just show the ecology one, and archaeology, for example. And there's more than 3 because we've got more than 3 surveyors. This is just example data, but there's more than 3 on our platform, and you can see the rating, how long it'll take them to complete, how much it'll cost, and then literally just select each one. And as you go through it, you can go back.
It looks really good, actually.
Brilliant. It goes back. You can go back, and it just highlights how it compares with the others. So so you can then share this with your client.
Yep.
And then literally check out one contract, one payment. That's what I was talking about, terms and conditions. It's one contract, one payment, one purchase order. Click the button, instruct, and then you need to upload your PO. And then when the project goes to live, we've now got this new process, which gives you a lot more detail on what's going on, which is kind of what you're talking about, progress reports and progress updates. So you click on the site, and for each survey, you've got a timeline of what the latest is.
Yeah, so it'd be just so good if you could just share this page direct with the design team.
Yeah, so they can see, okay, what stage is each project at.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
The client can actually come in here, have a conversation with the supplier, request changes, amend stuff, and then approve.
Gotcha.
So you get a chance to review the reports and approve it, and you see the outcomes. As soon as a project is approved and is completed, it moves to here. And then this is the risk register. You click on it. Similar to before, it's just a little bit more advanced now. And basically, you've got all your green ones, all your amber ones, all saved on the cloud. And then once you click on it, download the report. But now the new thing here is we've now connected this to the rest of the platform, so you can instruct that. So you'll see that there's a checkout at the top. You can just add that and go back into the checkout. If you've got 4 things, instruct it, another purchase order, done. And then it goes back to live, and you can see what's currently being live, and you can see, okay, we've got a BAT survey.
It's really good, I've got to say.